I'm sure if they've done all the state and national fire code, they have fire detection and suppression systems in the building. And I'm sure the school board put them in the school building. Other than that, it's still Mr. Rivers' farmland, Mr. Morgan's farmland out there. So there's really no impetus to accelerate building that fire station out there. When you start getting development and the impact fees that will pay for the fire station, that would be a more appropriate time to do it. You saw the Board of Education get crucified for Rivers Elementary School. And there are reasons for that, just because of the funding mechanism from the state and how much they pay or will not pay. But you get crucified with a fire station out there for stuff on murder. So I don't see that as an impetus to advance, your consideration. I respect your consideration, but I don't think the underlying premise is correct.
All I can reply to that is that is what the projection is currently from our staff. And so on our current 5-year projection, this is going back, my thinking going back over the past month. Okay, thank you.
I have enough experience to know that conservative projections do not take it with the growth, potential growth of the community. That is not going to be the problem. The conservative estimate as today.
Well, one thing I've learned, at least personally, as far as projections, if you came to me with the businesses, I want you to give me a projection, I could project your expenses pretty darn accurately, but the income part, that's the question. And so to go conservative on the revenue is not a bad thing, but that's just my opinion.
Absolutely. But what have you done with the expenses over the past 5 years? It's stocked up and provided the vital, necessary services due to the tax 2008 recession through April of 2014. You've met the task. The fire department people have met the task. They sucked up and they gave up hours. Some guys gave up a day because of their white collar job. And now you're talking about giving them away. It's disrespectful to the public. A lack of gratitude on your part to even be considered. You should be patting them on the back saying, God well done, baby. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
yes.
Council for so you sat through 9 times 9 trips. And if you paid attention each year, these ladies have given us a very conservative outlook. Projection has been very small and usually has been pretty accurate. Right now, according to the projection, they basically didn't really budget much because they don't know what time it's going to bring. Our 5-year plan every year changes with conditions. We get a 5-year plan this year. Next year, it's changed because of ongoing conditions. So to assume that everything's going to stay the same, you know what the assumption is? And just made a fool out of all. So what I'm saying is, you take Miss Lynn and Miss Helen, they won tremendous awards and have always been on target stuff. But you have to listen to point A, point Z. If you miss anything in between, then you make an assumption of something that's not going to be accurate. So I would say that if you look at each year, the projections that are made in the retreat are very conservative, and this year they don't know really what to expect with Pinewood and what's going to go on out there. But right now we're in the booms, of course, housing permits and everything. Making assumptions we're going to stay status quo. does finance, someone who does, works with the figures. And that's a bad assumption, I believe.
We have a motion. We have a motion on the floor, and really it needs to be restricted to council discussion. But thank you, Larry. We're aware of the fact that yes, the numbers do change. We're doing council discussion at the moment. We get a vote on this, and then we can pick up with public again. You have something else?
Well, just a comment to the gentleman here. I think we have to do some, based on what we presented with. It's been an opportunity to look at the situation. We have to do something. I mean, and I think what's before us is either consolidate, yes or no, or raise taxes. We need to look at it. We've been running pretty tight. I mean, I think even Chief Jones would say we don't have all the men we need, and I'm sure Chief Pitts would say, he doesn't have all the men he needs. Well, if we're going to start, if we want to get back to where we were in 2008, the only way to do it is raise taxes. Businesses have the constraint that they can only operate to the extent of the revenue that they generate from sales and from their operations. I guess we have a little bit more of a luxury. We can just sit here and we can say, okay, how much tax do we have to raise? And if nobody really cares about raising the taxes, then I think that's an option. Let's look at doing that. Decide that's what we do. But not to put ourselves in financial straits. And if something does improve down the road, taxes can always be rolled back. But I don't think we should leave here tonight without the understanding that either if we don't consolidate, the taxes have to go up significantly.
I think that point's been raised. Yeah, I think that point's been raised, and most all the people in the public have said that their president
Mr. Mayor,
said they're willing to pay the increase.
I know my friend Mr. Otto very well, and I respect his financial knowledge. But I'm a person who trusts and believes in the instincts of our people. And not only are the instincts of telling me that our people in our fire department are superb and we need to continue to back them, but I also think that our administrative staff, our city manager, our financial staff, they will allow us to get through these tough times. And if they are not able to do that with what we have coming in, I've heard the people resoundingly say they accept the fact that we will have to raise taxes. And if they accept that, representing the entire city of Fayetteville, I think we have no other choice but to call for a vote.
We haven't heard from all the councilmen yet, so we're going to hold the vote until everybody's had a chance.
May I say something?
Go ahead.
Over the past couple of weeks, I've spent over 100 hours talking about this and working on it and thinking about it. And I've spent over 4 hours tonight. And there was one thing that came across. It was early in the meeting, and it made absolutely the most sense to me, and that is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Anything you want to say? Scott? Mickey? Anything you want to say?
Well, I've just got to say on the tax thing, there's a lot of people live in the city and they're not all here tonight. I was at one of my homeowners association meetings not long ago, and I suggested going up on our fee because we don't have enough reserve. I thought I was going to get lynched, and I wanted to go up $10 a month. So I'm not so sure that raising taxes is going to be well received by the community. Also, on projections, it's always a guess, but it's a good guess from our financial people because, as the mayor and former council have stated, they've always done a great job. And I don't doubt the figures that they had up here. Now, I can't speak for the county's figures. They're probably right, too. But I would hate to see Fayetteville turn into Detroit. I'm in the auto parts business most of my life. Just a minute. When I was a young man, Detroit was the center of the world as far as cars went, and Now, houses burned down because the firemen are afraid to go there because there's not adequate police protection. And that can happen anywhere. If you kick the can down the road and you don't realistically look at your expenses and your revenue with an educated guess. I'm probably a little older than most of you guys. I remember the Arab oil embargo, and gasoline went up to $5 a gallon, and people were proud to pay it because you could sometimes only get 2 or 3 gallons. You couldn't travel unless you put multiple cans of gas in your trunk. It can happen again. Also, some of you guys may remember Jimmy Carter interest days. Interest went to 28%. I operated a small business. I had 8 parts stores when it started. I had 2 parts stores when interest came back down where you could again borrow money. So I'm not opposed to raising taxes if that's what the city wants, but I want to be sure that that's what the city wants. I'm sorry?
Not listening.
Yes, but there's how many people live in the city?
If everybody came and lived in the city, those that didn't come don't care.
Well,
Now, you need to listen to, you're elected, and to say that there's a bunch of them out there that didn't come, so they're opposed to this. You're wrong, Mr. Edwards. You're wrong. You did wrong. Take a vote right now with the people here and ask them how much are they willing to spend $4 a month to keep the fire department.
Take your seat, please. This is council discussion time, not public discussion time. Public's had their say. Council is making the decision on the vote that's on the floor. It's not appropriate for people in the audience to be interjecting, so please refrain until we get our vote taken. Mr. Otto has some more comments.
Regarding the property tax, I know everybody's here is fixated on the $4 a month. And if that's all it was, I suppose I would probably join you. But I don't think maybe more than 1 or 2 of you even are thinking about this. When we go up on our property tax, what it's going to hurt, and probably hurt pretty substantially, is the engine that drives the success in this city, and that's the businesses that have to pay this tax on their inventory, they have to pay this tax on their buildings. It's not just the $4 a month on a $200,000 house. Businesses have they have millions of dollars invested. Now, what you're saying is we don't care that they pay the bulk of this, we're just going to pay our $4 a month, and that's all you will pay, you know. But that's why I have to give a second thought to raising the tax in this city, because it's going to hurt a lot of people, it's going to hurt the engine that drives it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But, Mr. Otto, counterpoint is I've heard from many people who stood up who are business owners in the city. And so they understand the impact. Now, I agree that they are a small representation of the business owner in Fayetteville. But again, if they were very interested in what's going on, they should have been here. Now, the ideal would have been to take this to a referendum and a vote. But because we do not have the time, and again, somebody say, well, why don't we have the time? Well, we know we need to make a decision. Again, we made a decision 2 years ago, and again, my concern is that we're dealing with an issue. Yes, it was precipitated by Pinewood, okay? But the bottom line is the citizens have spoken. For the citizens that live in the city of Fayetteville, we want to retain our fire department at whatever cost it takes. I am not one to raise taxes. In fact, that's what my election was run upon. The idea that I, too, am a conservative. But I do not want to raise taxes, but sometimes you got to raise taxes. Sometimes you got to pay the price for what you want. And if you want to retain your fire department, you need to understand that there will be a strong possibility taxes will go up.
Anything else? No. I hadn't finished my comments, so let me wrap them up before we go ahead and call the vote.
He did. He spoke.
I think I was pretty vocal when I seconded the motion. But don't misconstrue that I'm doing it because of a vote or a future vote. I'm doing this possibly for the betterment of the community. And if the community's willing to pay the extra taxes, you know, this affects my family too.
Thank you.
Well, regarding the tax issue, Mr. Otto has a very valid point. That yes, the homeowners who only live in $200,000 homes, which I guess a goodly many of Fayetteville residents live in houses of that price range or less, and a lot of them above as well. But they'll be paying the $40, but the businesses will be paying more. And we don't really have a very good representation of the businesses here tonight. Nor do we really have a very good representation of the 16,000 residents in this city. We do have a very vocal and very passionate group in opposition, and that's fine. I mean, it's you know, this is a free country. You have that right, and I do appreciate you taking your time and coming out and, you know, spending 4.5 hours with us. You know, we. In contrast to any comments anybody's made that this has been done sneakily or we've not tried to communicate, we put it on the website, we've put things in the paper, we've tried to get the word out as best we could. We are working with time limits that we were trying to accommodate so that should the consolidation occur, that the county could assume the management and be operational when their fiscal year starts, which is July 1st. So the time frame is a little short on that. Now, nothing that anybody's presented is to disparage anything of any of our city staff. I compliment them forever and always. I think we have the best people, whether it's the fire department, the police department, the finance department, the public works department that did fabulous work for us during this recent ice storm and snowstorm that we had so much trouble with this winter. We have great people. That is not the issue. As I see it, the question before us is, would the citizens be better served with a consolidated fire department or not? Now, in favor of that, I do think the ALS has some benefits. I think the squad system that the county has a lot of benefits. They say they would put 6 people over here in our fire department. We'd have the ambulance, we'd have a squad which can run out and be a backup. They can't transport, but they've got the ALS. They can defibrillate and do the IVs, which, as I was given to understand, the city wasn't able to do that, the IVs. Let me say my comments, please. You all had your time to speak. This is council discussion. We have a motion on the floor. Please be courteous. I don't think that's asking too much. So I do think there's merits of the ALS and the squad system so that the squad truck can roll and take care of a little brush fire and things that aren't structure fires. We only have 2% of the calls in the county, 2.06, and 2% in the city that are fire-related calls. We spend over 68% of our current budget on public safety. We open up a 3rd firehouse, that percentage will increase some more. We can't just go with the current staffing levels, I don't think, in the fire department and with the part-time help that we have in opening up the 3rd station. We have issues with crime, and that's one of the things I campaigned on. We need more police officers. The need for the police officers versus fire to my mind, is greater, the incidence of crime and so forth, when we only have 2% that are actual fires. And great fire department, nothing against them. But we have an aging population. We're going to have more medical incidents going forward, and the fires will probably stay the same, but that small percentage of 2% should decrease some more. So think about it in a rational, not just emotional fashion. How much is it really worth to you that we maintain a fire department that only spends 2% of their time actually fighting fires? Okay, that wasn't a question for public comment. That's just a rhetorical question. You're out of order. This is council discussion on a motion on the floor. I can't take anything from the audience. The mutual aid issue definitely needs to be looked into, and I believe we'll do that. Whether we consolidate or not, I mean, if had we consolidated, it's less of an issue because it's pretty much off the table. That's why it hasn't been addressed as of yet. Now, Ken Steele raised an issue that we might not be able to vote because we haven't had 2 public meetings, but the vote would be whether we proceed to propose or to draw up an intergovernmental agreement. Just wait. That would have been the vote as whether we would proceed with a government agreement. It would not be the final vote on a consolidation. So the stipulations we might put in that intergovernmental agreement might be distasteful to the county. So no, not a guarantee we'll go through. So I think we would be, just bear, please. Look, I've given you folks hours to talk. Please allow me to say what I have to say. And we'll take a vote in a minute. And it looks, if you'll sit down and be quiet, I'll wrap this up pretty shortly.
I need to address one thing.
You can't address them now. We have a motion on the floor. We have a motion on the floor. Larry, sit down or I'll have you ejected.
I'm going to have my say.
You've had your say.
He don't know.
The motion you want to vote on is not the motion that Mr. Johnson made.
The motion that he made is the motion on the floor, and it's been seconded. We're having discussion on it, and then we will call a vote. It sounds as though Mr. Johnson's motion will pass, and you can all go home happy. But if you'll just please give me the courtesy of saying what I have to say, and we'll have a vote. We've all spent a lot of hours and a lot of time here. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for expressing your opinion. We haven't taken this lightly. I will say that you are a very vocal and a very passionate percentage of the population, but you're not the majority of the city. You may be the majority opinion. That we don't really know. We have had some people expressing in favor of the consolidation, the majority of them against. But be that however it is. We are responsible to all the citizens of Fayetteville. And again, as Mr.
All the time, you can only please some of the people some of the time, and some of the people are here at this time.
You absolutely cannot please everybody. That is very true. Mr. Otto has a point that, raising the taxes will negatively impact the businesses more so than the homeowners. I think the amount that has been proposed is probably not going to be adequate for us to not only build another fire station, but to hire more police personnel that we need to do. So don't count on the taxes only going up $40, okay? But if that's the way the people want it, then so be it. We've been listening all night, sir. We've been sitting up here listening all night. I've been taking notes. I think these other gentlemen have taken notes as well.
Why don't you call the question?
Well, if people quit interrupting me so rudely, Mr. Hovey King, I would have already called the question. Yes.
I have a question for Steve.
Okay. What?
I have a question for Steve Brown.
You got a question for Steve Brown?
Yeah.
What are you going to ask?
about the possibility of the county considered it subject to
Consider what?
consolidation between the rules and if we do this,
And we probably don't.
right, and that's what county control is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but, I mean, that didn't take any advantage, because it's not going to change the law.
No, it's not going to change the law.
I mean, the hospitals or something.
All right, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
All right, any further comment from the council? Any further comment from council? All right, hearing none, then I'll call the vote. All those in favor of Mr. Johnson's motion, which is?
To defeat the consolidation proposal. Deny the consolidation
To
proposal.
vote down, reject the consolidation proposal as presented by the county. All those in favor? All those opposed?
I'd like to say one comment. Let me make a comment, please.
Do your vote.
All right.
Do your vote. I mean, it's already a foregone conclusion.
It's already a foregone
3-2 when you
conclusion.
count,
I just
right?
want to make a comment that there are people that do favor the consolidation. And so in deference to them, I know it's lost, but I'm going to vote against it just so they have their representation on the council.
Okay.
Mickey didn't vote.
Okay, I guess you folks can go home happy now.
Mickey didn't vote.
You did vote? Did you abstain or did you vote no?
No, I didn't vote.
Oh, okay. Well, you can't abstain. You got to vote one way or another.
Well, I am. Is Ben Nelms in here?
Right here.
Make sure you put that I was against raising taxes. I'm sorry.
Both hands.
Both hands?
The ayes were 3 and the nays were 2. Right?
Yes.
So the motion carries, and the proposal to consolidate has been defeated. We need a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned?
Well,
Second.
I think we.